Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about a couple easy ways to improve your wrist flick, and we'll start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. All right, so I'm going to use a couple props for this just because I think using a basketball and a fishing pole end up being two good things to be able to help you out with the wrist flick, and we'll start out with the basketball. So I've seen people talk about this in the past. How when we're flicking the football, it ends up being similar to a jump shot, where as the ball is coming out of your hand, you want to get that kind of action like you're going and shooting a jump shot, and I do think there is some similarity there. And so just using a basketball to just go through a jump shot, not that I was a great basketball or had a great jump shot, but being able to get that wrist flick. And what's even a better prop when it comes to improving the wrist flick to me ends up being the fishing pole. And nobody that I've actually worked with has actually said that they used a fishing pole, at least not in person, when asked me about it. And I think that's hilarious because I grew up and I've been fishing basically my entire life, and I think that I have a pretty good wrist flick because of it. So what ends up being important here, and I think this is better than the basketball too, because when we're thinking about the basketball, it's just kind of that action, right? But the football is really when we have the football and we're going from here, and that's that wrist flick. But the fishing pole is really from when we have the ball back here as well, which is important when it comes to the deep ball, and really more when we have the ball in our hands, right? The downward action is a little bit more when the ball's like releasing the hands, or even as it released the hands is more that basketball action. But the fishing pole action is really when we're here, and right here with the fishing pole, I'm gonna go, I actually tried to cast this and I did like a 20% cast and it went way too far. But this would end up just being the motion is just here and we're just casting. So just working on being able to do that as you're going through the throw. So just here and releasing the football. So it's here, coming right through the throw. That ends up being a big part of your release. So if you have a fishing pole, you could do that and you could really be able to mimic what it is that you're doing as you're throwing the ball. So just to slow it down for you, as we're going through the throw, we're going here and we're loading the ball back. And then as we go through the throw, we want to be able to get that action, right? And we talk a lot about that external rotation and being able to get plenty of external rotation here and then being able to come through the throw. And again, that is that wrist flick that we're talking about with the fishing pole, where when you have a basketball, we're going to be more here as we're releasing it. So it ends up being kind of a different action, and it ends up being more of like a triplanar movement, where it's like when you're shooting a basketball, it's like a straight linear action. You're just going straight up and down with it. There might be a little bit of rotation as you're going through, but when you're throwing a football, you're getting a spiral, so there's a lot of rotation. There's a lot of that index finger being the last part, and then even as you're going through, you're really turning that all the way over. Some people don't get as much turn. They end up coming more off to the side here, but even when you do that, that's going to end up not being like a basketball either. That's going to be more coming all the way through here. I mean, I don't recommend that. I don't see very many guys that do that in the NFL that are throwing at a high level. It's just not very much action within the wrist. It's a little bit of action, but it's way better to be working in that rotational plane. This is just the frontal plane, right? The rotational plane is where you get the most amount of force, which is going to be being able to come up and over, and it makes it so we get the full utilization of the shoulder. Again, external rotation to internal rotation. For here, we're getting more action out of the pec, but we're not getting any internal rotation, which is not going to be the best way to be able to throw the ball. So I'm big on getting that rotation as the ball's leaving your hands, and that's what's going to make it so you're going to have a great spiral, especially when throwing the longer ball. You might be able to get a nice spiral when you're here, right? Coming and throwing across like that when you're throwing the ball 25, 30 yards, but throw a ball 60 yards, you got to be able to get full extension, full rotation of the shoulder. Unless you're 6'8" or 6'6" or 6'5", right? Unless you're a really big guy, but you'd have to put a lot into it to go throw the ball 60 yards. Again, those top guys, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, watching the NFL draft, those guys are getting full turnover within their arm, within their wrist. They're not coming across like this as the ball's coming out of their hands. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the information, click that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. We're always trying to provide great content to help quarterbacks and really athletes in general being able to understand how to perform at a higher level. This is going to be a great way to be able to help you in understanding some easy props to use to really get some of those motions down, especially guys that are in Midwest. I know you guys have fishing poles. I know you have this as a resource to be able to help you in an understanding how to really get that great wrist flicks. If you're interested in some of our programs or some of the ways that we could help you improve your throw, you can check the description down below. We have a program, a 3-month program. We have a monthly program. We do individual breakdowns. We really just have a lot of different things that we can provide that really gives you a great understanding of how to be able to throw the football further. We start from a pure mechanics standpoint, really give you a great understanding of how to have more velocity, how to be more efficient, how to make it so you can stay healthy, and how you can make it so that you can throw the ball further, which at the end of the day, I think ends up being a key separator and something that, again, we see at the NFL Combine, where it's like the guys that are able to get the ball out of their hands effectively and are very efficient and just have that really, really smooth wrist flick, it stands out. Anthony Richardson is a great example of somebody that goes into the combine and really showcases his skill set because he has a very efficient movement and the ball still comes out of his hands very, very effectively. So when you could do that well, same with CJ Stroud, when you could do those things well, it really makes a big difference. And we want to be able to teach you how to be able to do that. And we have a simple formula to be able to make that happen. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.